It is 9:15. Let the show commence. All right. Good morning, everyone. How are y'all today? Great. Yeah. All chipper and energized. Can't wait to get the day going. We had some great sessions this morning. Coffeeed up, everyone. Pastries, sugar high, everything. All right. So we are here today because we're talking about math. So I want to start off with. I want to show of hands. Who here went to the gamer session yesterday? Oh my goodness! You guys are like math skills or something. So if it's not enough to have 1 hour of me, now you got 2 hours. And I think I heard a couple people are just going to go for the deep dive session, so that's 4 hours. Your brain's probably going to be scrambled when you get back home. All right, so thank you very much for coming back. It was a very exciting talk, and this one's not going to be as fun, I'm sorry. We're going to be talking about brain research and about motivation and learning, and you're going to learn a lot about what made the Math Fluency project be what it is because of the research. Just another question. Anybody here who has been to my session and not gone to the gamer session yesterday? And they're like, oh, cool, repeats, awesome. As you know, no, not you don't know, but I've been speaking at SREB, High Schools at Work, as it was called, for quite a number of years, so it's really great to see you all again. I always like to try to bring really good, relevant topics. So we have a lot of information to go through. For those of you who've been through my sessions, you know I have a lot of PowerPoint slides, but it's not death by PowerPoint, so yeah. But thank goodness for that. So I'm going to get away from the lectern and be myself. So, the Math Fluency Project. So, myself and John Zubatov created this, and I'm going to introduce him in a second. So first, let's get through the agenda so you'll know what we're going to cover today. So first, we're going to introduce the project and what it is, a little bit of what it's about, and we're going to talk about early tests that we did from 2015 to 2017. Kind of like the initial stages of working with students and then going, oh my gosh, what the heck did we just uncover? What happened since we introduced it into High Schools at Work in 2018? Because a number of people from the conference signed up to become beta testers, guinea pigs, what I call. In the science of learning, motivation, brain research, and cultural permanence. Yeah, that's a very interesting term, cultural permanence. The new phenomena that we've observed, because if you get a kid to answer 200, 500, 1,000 math problems a day, you're going to witness some really wacky things that no one else has ever witnessed before. Future studies and research where no one has gone before. Awesome. Okay, so, and then we're going to reserve about 15 minutes for Q&A. Because we always get a lot of brilliant questions at the end about what we've done. So, who's here? Anybody here from K-12? Raise your hand. I mean K2, sorry, K2. I'm just wondering if there's anybody at that stage. I don't think so. 3 through 5? Okay, good. Can't tell you. 6 through 8? Okay, a good portion of you. Anybody teaching young adults or hell, it's like, all right, good. Middle school, high school. Actually, let's do a distinction. Middle school, which is actually that's 6 through 8. Young adults, high school. That's right. Young adults. Sorry. Anybody here from administration or other? Okay, cool. And I already asked that question. And who here has heard of or have some understanding of the Math Fluency Project before this? Okay, a handful of you. Great. All right, so a little bit about myself, so you can kind of understand how the evolution of this thing came about. First off, I grew up in a restaurant, and it was a very difficult time because we didn't have much money, so I was constantly being kind of not poverty, but free and reduced. I taught myself to be a programmer, developed early CBT programs and distance learning technologies, so that kind of got me into the whole learning sphere. Then I got into culinary arts education because, well, restaurants, CBT, of course those two mesh together, right? But it was actually an interesting opportunity that presented itself, and then I said, yeah, I'll do something about that, and then that really thrust me deep into education, and I've been in it since then. Developed an early mobile LMS, learning management system, developed a mastery system using item response theory. I don't think my tongue has woken up yet this morning. Basically, the emphasis is like, don't use dumb assessments, use a smart assessment to get students to master the content, not just regurgitate facts. And then developed things to put knowledge into practice, which where the KP monitor comes from. And then just letting you know that I am a lifelong student, not a teacher. Because I want to let you know that there's a huge distinction. I've never taught in the classroom before. And then, which led me to the Math Fluency project, which is when I met John Zubatov here. So take it away.
My name is John Zubatov. I'm the former superintendent for the state of Arizona. I was superintendent for 4 years. I grew up in the south side of Tucson, went to school in the highest crime, highest poverty zip code of a border city. And my mission in life is to save all the students who I grew up with on that south side. I was one of the few white kids in an overwhelmingly Hispanic school, and my vision for minorities is doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects, etc., because my fellow students actually made it out. And so that's my vision for this project. I also became a certified math teacher, and what we're doing here is based on research that goes all the way back to 1982, was when we started all the training. So some profound knowledge in what we're talking here.
Yeah, we promise you will have your mind blown, and if not, then I'll give you a cookie. All right, so in 2016, we got the technology to a point where we first tested in a school. It was an interstate school where we picked one of the toughest schools in the area with high crime, high poverty, in the south side, and it was a 4th grade class. So this class was very unique because it featured quite a number of students who couldn't make it into public school. And these were the students who kind of almost gave up on education, but they're still there. So this is a student we worked with at that school. So when we started, we asked the whole class, what is 5 plus 4? And the answer is 9, right? No one in that class could answer 9 instantly. And you expected them to be able to do that at 4th grade. So when we put them in this environment, this is after about 40 days or 2 months of working, and they do this for 15 minutes a day. So this kid here, he's about to play the game that we developed. Show off. And then his challenge, and the way the game is challenging students is he gives them 1 minute to answer as many math problems as they can. And here we go. So just kind of describe, green squares means correct. If it was incorrect, it would be red. Also, you probably noticed this, the X also moves on both sides of the equation, so it's not a single format. It's very important. Can everyone see this and see what's going on?
Sometimes it's addition, sometimes subtraction.
Yes. So what do you think about this? Isn't it kind of weird, awe-inspiring? And over there,
If you notice over here, his buddy's going just as fast. So if this wasn't an extraordinary student, well, he was extraordinary in the sense that he was the fastest. But we had a lot of students who.
I'm just going to fast forward to the end so that because we want to go through our content. So here we go, and then we're 60 correct. So 60 in 1 minute. That's 1 per second. So I just want to show you a little growth here, and this is him. This is him 2 months later. You like fun with math? Yeah. All right, let's get started again. There we go. Come on, come back. Come back. Come back. What's going on? Doesn't let like me now? Let's try this. Okay, there we go. Back again. Okay. You having fun with that?
Yes, it may.
Yeah. All right. Let's get see that again. So I'm doing it this way because it gives me this control. Zoom. Okay, so now he's at a higher level. Form number, mixed addition, subtraction. We introduce words slowly to them. Really helps the ELL students acclimate themselves. And lastly, I'm going to go to one more here. And we have all these videos online, so if you really want to watch them all the way through, you can.
Okay, go.
My name is Ryan. I'm fourth generation and I have 209,000 points and 17,353 questions.
Okay, let's do it.
So these kids are data-driven, and they take a lot of pride in what they've accomplished. So we introduce, there's about 1,000 standards through 137 levels that they go through. And it gets progressively harder, but also incrementally harder, so it's incremental growth. So as you can see, we can't even read it that fast, and the questions actually come at them not in the same exact format. So sometimes it says I need more, sometimes how much do I need, or what do I have? So, and then you see other problem types being mixed in. So I'm just pausing so you could process that. Oh, you got one red there. That was our first experiment, and when we saw that, as they were, progressing up the ladder, and their growth was so phenomenal, we knew we were onto something. So the foundation of this project was based on 9 scientific principles of learning, motivation, and learning permanence. So
the thing that we came across very early in the 1980s, we came across this phenomena that indicated to us, in research, that indicated to us that the human brain is powerfully motivated and powerfully learns around a team score.
yeah, and we'll go over that in just a second. I put this up because those of you who are in the gamer section, this is a very important reason why this works, because the entertainment industry has programmed us to take on information in a certain way. I won't spend any time talking about it, but if you, did I turn the sign-up sheet? I did. I'm going to get a sign-up sheet, and then I'll email you the presentation from the gamer session as well, so you'll have that to reference. Okay, so just want to kind of give you a little bit about the results of that first test. So go ahead, you want to just describe the easy merit?
The thing that we were able to accomplish in this laboratory test, under very challenging circumstances with these students, the statewide gain in Arizona on the AZ Merit test, which is their standardized test, was 25 points a year from the end of 3rd grade to the end of 8th grade. What we were able to do with this class is we were able to get an average of 44 points, almost double the academic gain. And the thing that was particularly extraordinary is we had 3 students who got 4 years of academic gain. What was also nice, they had a system called Galileo, which was another independent audit of this, and it duplicated these results exactly.
Yeah, and if you notice that, we still had kids who didn't make that mark, but that's okay because these students were our SPED kids, and our SPED kids showed growth, which was incredible. So this was like, phenomenal. And actually, you want to get to Sean Reardon's study on the
there's this researcher in Stanford, Sean Reardon. He ranked every school district in the nation, over 13,000 school districts, and we were able to pull out the top 1% of all those districts. And what we found is that if you put it in our terms, AZ Merit terms, that instead of getting 25 points a year, those 1% of those school districts would get 32 points. So the fact that we were able to come in at 44 points was extraordinary.
Yeah, it kind of gives a little contrast because, 44 is great, but I mean, the top 1% did that. All right, so when we introduced this to high schools at work in 2018, it was a very dark room. As you can see, actually it was really dark. And we did this presentation saying, okay, this is what we did in the past, but we're going to be trying to do stuff more. We want to work with more schools. We want to work with different environments. And we had quite a few schools sign up. So the experiment grew from like one beta classroom in 2017 to 227 beta classrooms started last school year. So to tell you the truth, 168 of them failed. So we didn't expect everyone to be able to continue with the test and move forward. And they failed for various reasons: technology, students weren't engaged for some reason, environmental. But the ones that persevered got some incredible results. So I'm going to share with you three very distinctive results that came from the teachers who were outside of lab. So with what I call throwing the program out into the wild and hoping it will take root. So this is an algebra teacher. I call it algebra 0.01 because he had to create a very special class in the spring because he had to work with students who failed algebra in the fall, and they also put this. There are two qualifiers. He had to fail 3 classes in the fall and get less than 20% in your algebra. So he had about 20 some odd students in his class.
Great. So how much have you seen as far as their skill growth in the past couple months?
Oh my gosh, they've grown so much. They used to not be able to do -3 + 2, and now they're solving equations, finding the differences between percents, decimals, rational numbers, and a whole lot of things that have just started with just adding numbers.
So for his students, getting that basic foundation skill built confidence, and the results of that at Paradise High School was like, it was working with 35% ELL, and the qualification 3S, 20%. And so when they took the end of year exam, 50% of them tested A, B, or C. So they succeeded. They showed mastery in order of operation, adding, multiplying, subtracting, and more. I mean, he just can go on and on and on about all the things that these kids, the skills that they did not have, and they acquired it in that spring semester through this process. At Greenway Middle School, this is very interesting. This one teacher, who has been a seasoned science math teacher for about over 20 years, said, I had 6 classes, in a 5-minute block. But she was just willing to take one class and try the program out and sacrifice 10 minutes of it. So throughout the year, the semester, she was worried because you lose 50 minutes of direct instruction to this exercise, and the other kids were getting more instruction than this one class. So when the results came in, she did a triple take. She actually went back and reviewed every single test because that class tested 13% higher than the other 5. So when we got those results, we're like, oh my gosh, well, we kind of expected it, but for her, she thought, they didn't cover some material, they're going to be playing catch up. But one of the things that we're going to discuss is like how this process repairs a lot of things that have been giving people trouble their whole life. And then, oh wait, I duplicated this slide. And then we did a summer school implementation this year, just a month ago, and this is very interesting data. So this is the data that came back. They started out with 8.5, these 3 different periods tested at that level for proficiency, and then they came out this high. So you can see the difference. So in 3 weeks, they did this for 3 weeks and 4 days a week, and they met the district average in that short amount of time. We actually did not believe it, but we were there when they took the test, so we know that it was all. I was like, there's no way, but it is. I mean, it's unbelievable, actually. So how does it work? So we're going to go into a little bit about that because it works with science. Okay. All right. So we frame everything as like into the beacon of learning. So one of the most incredible things that we learn and know is that our brains are designed to forget, right? Our brains are completely designed to forget. You know, we do things day in and day out, and we forget it because we can only store so much data in our brains. We have so much capacity, but you know but that's not a limitation. It's just that we're not harnessing the power of our brain. So we actually go back to the phenomena, back to our ancestors in the plains of the Serengeti. So
The key thing that you have to understand when you're thinking about this learning phenomena is that our brain was designed to be part of a team. And that's why we have the success that we did as human beings. That we went out as a team, either as hunters or gatherers, and we were successful essentially around a team score. Were we going to be eating steak tonight, or were we going to be eating rats? That's the question. And we were successful at eating steak, and we survived and flourished. That team score is crucial for understanding the breakthrough behind what we're able to do here.
So basically, the whole entire aspect is that cooperation is baked into our DNA. And in education, one of the worst things we did to our kids was we put them into silos. Now we're getting back into the group learning and all that, and all those pedagogies, which is bringing that back. But that's the whole entire reason why, one of the reasons why this works so well. So we create group accountability, and how we do that is this. In front of the class, we have a scoreboard, and we give the class a goal, and we tell them, you're part of the team, and your goal is 20,000 points. And you have 10 minutes to get to the goal. Everyone ready, set, go, and start doing math problems. So that creates an energy and an impetus to go forward and do that. And they have visual representation. So you see that this bar moves across the screen as they're gaining points for the class. You can see down here, we have a team race. So they're actually racing against other periods as well. So that creates another factor. So that team score makes a huge difference.
Yeah, the team score is critical because it's not any team score that motivates us to learn. It's one that's instantaneous. How are we doing as a team right now, this split second? That's the way the brain was designed to learn, because it wants a real-time feedback mechanism. This team score gets a grip on the kids, as you're about to see.
Mm-hmm. So do you guys want to go home? No! You want to keep playing?
Yeah! I never liked math, but they made it into a video game.
So you heard that? You never liked math, but they made it into a video game. That goes back into the gamification talk I gave you yesterday. So when you saw the kid playing the math game, did it look like a video game? Did it look like any math games that you're familiar with or used in the school? No, it was just pure numbers, and that's actually one of our scientific theories that builds into that.
Yeah, the other thing that is in the research is that really any cognitive distraction at all drains away from the learning process. So we have a really pure process going on.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So you.
Okay. So if you saw on the right-hand side, we also created an epic goal, which gives students something to look forward to. 1.75 million points. So
Now, and this is another part of what's built into our brain, is we have this instantaneous goal that we're going to be successful today, but our brains want something bigger. They want to think larger, longer, and so what that epic goal does is, okay, what we're doing today fits into a larger scheme of where we're headed into the future.
okay, so that creates group accountability. But as you know, with a lot of things, a lot of programs out there, especially computerized programs, kids know how to hide, right? They know how to appear to be busy. They know how to make it seem like they're doing something, but in a lot of cases, they're not. Am I correct? Yeah. So we talk about, oh wait, never mind. I forgot about this. This is fun. So because of that epic goal, we get reactions like this.
Enough. Yes? Oh, that's a good question. So I had a number of you ask. So I had a number of you ask me, can you do this at home? Well, I mean, so who here wants to do it at home? Raise your hand. Wow, you guys actually want to answer math problems at home? Yeah. That is impressive. So it's not up to me. You have to ask your teacher if that's something she wants to have. So. All right.
Yeah!
you know, how often do you get this kind of energy? So, so it creates an intense motivation. And actually, the kids that respond the most powerfully that we've seen are the ELL kids, the people who are special needs, because that's one of the things that, and actually we had one class that we did in the spring where it was predominantly refugees from Eastern Africa, and they took to it like you would not believe. It's like, it was so, I mean, the energy was just breathtaking.
It was our most intense implementation ever. In 38 minutes, they did 18,000 math problems correctly. Our previous all-time high was something like 10,000. So they just nonstop pounded away every single. We didn't even know what to make of it. But
Yeah.
it was the.
In fact, it was so bad that the kids went home and did it for 1 hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours, that the teacher actually had to set up a rule and say, you're only allowed to do it half an hour a day. And then a week later, he calls me up and said, you know what, I have kids apologizing to me because they said, I'm sorry, Mr. Ramos, I did it for like 45 minutes, so I went 15 minutes over, I'm very sorry. So he was, I mean, so it was just, I mean, wow, you know, kind of thing. So that's group accountability. Now we have individual accountability in the form of this. So from the classroom, we have also a leaderboard. Now, as you know, in education, leaderboards is a taboo subject. But when you create a leaderboard correctly, you create positive interdependence. So the way this leaderboard works is that I'm just going to do this so you can zoom in. You know, the students are able to work on their own individual levels, and they can soar as high as they like during this process. The bars represent their own trajectory to the goal, and these goals are designed to calculated at 12 minutes for the game time. So the higher achievers, the people who are really driven and motivated, we give them higher goals and we give them higher challenges. So you see 1,600 points. But also on top of inclusive to that is that we have students who have lower goals because this is what they're able to output during the game. Now these numbers aren't shown on the screen. All they see are the bars. So the thing about this is these kids with the lower goals, these are SPED kids. So instead of feeling segregated and taken out for specials, now they're part of the team, they're part of the group, and that totally elevates them. So that aspect is very important. So now we have individual accountability.
The thing you can know as a teacher, though, in this environment, is that when your class gets to blue and all those students get to blue, which we were able to do every day in our lab class, every one of your students has done more math that day than 95% of all the students in the United States. So with only 50% or less of our students doing homework, it creates an environment where you can be sure that every single student is making academic progress.
Okay, so you see these red bars, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But because of the things that we brought together, this is one of our high school students at an alternative high school.
But honestly, like once you get in there and you just get going, you completely forget that you're even doing math. It's honestly just really fun. And the whole class looks forward to it every day. We beg our teacher, we're like, oh, just let us do it. Like,
pretty funny. So speaking of the red, we have here what we call real-time RTI. So response to intervention. Because of the fact that this board is up in front of the screen for all to see, including you as a teacher can recognize students who are in need. So if this is a calculation of 12 minutes, everyone should be moving at the same pace. So it's up to you to determine what's tripping these students up. Like so because they probably hit something, a new item bank or something that's really getting them in trouble. So that's illustrated by this student here at the high school level. So one thing we found at the high school level is that they come to us with so many gaps, but we don't have the time or the tools or the energy to identify all those gaps.
I actually found out that it kind of tripped up my basic math skills, and I was like missing on kind of some stuff that I should already know.
Improve my basic math skills in multiple ways by reassuring me that I can do it and giving me the confidence that I can do it, and just giving the touch up and the brushes on the basic level stuff that I missed when I wasn't paying attention.
Right from the horse's marks math. And they know it. And that's the thing is they know that they have these deficiencies. They just don't know what it is. And as they go through the process, what we can give the analogy is like, this is an academic ladder. And this ladder of math standards are missing rungs. So they're at 9th grade and they're missing rungs here, 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 here. And that makes the ladder really rickety. And you're trying to teach them like algebra concepts and they're saying like, Mr. H, I can't learn anything because I'm spending all my cognitive energy trying to keep this ladder in balance. So then they go to cognitive overload. So that leaves nothing left in the brain to take in any new information. So all you're doing is just doing the Charlie Brown teacher thing. Wah, 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 wah. Even though you explain to them, you're doing it really slowly, and you do it over and over again, it's still not sticking. And that's because all these rungs are blocking the students from being able to take on anything new because they can't even do basic operations. So what we do is we repair that ladder as they climb up through the ladder and extend it. So everybody starts at level 1, like in a video game, right? You don't start at Candy Crush level 58, right? So basically, as you're climbing this ladder, you get into it, you go, oh, this is easy, like a high school will be like level 1, level 2, level 10, 15. They get to level 20 in a very short amount of time. Whereas like a 4th grader might take like 3 or 4 times as long to get there. But then the high schooler will be like to level 21, 22, and then they go up to level 23 and they go, oh, that rung is missing. And what happens, they slow down, they realize that they're tripped up, and they start working on that problem type. And then you as a teacher identify that, and you go, hey, let me help you with that problem. And then they usually have that aha moment, because as they're building fluency through all of the levels, they're building these foundations, and it's incrementally growing, so they're like going, oh, we're just missing that one little piece of the puzzle, and then once they got that piece, and things become clear, almost instantaneously. So we also observed a phenomena because of the broken ladder of math PTSD.
Well, we started noticing students who we'd see their finger over the correct answer, and their finger would be just going like this, and they couldn't hit the number. And this was a part of the general sense we had that they were so afraid of taking risks, that they had experienced so much humiliation, that they literally had post-traumatic stress syndrome. You might think that's exaggeration, but we literally could see that in the students. We had 2 students who were literally mute, that they had found a way to protect themselves, and they had scored, when we looked in their history, they had scored 0 on our statewide test. They had no detectable level of ability. And so this idea that we needed to get into a success zone, and there's a researcher, Terrence Scott, that we pulled in his work, and what the computer does is it looks at each student and says, how successful are they being? And it monitors them to make sure that they're having at least 3 successes for every 1 failure. And we prefer to be up to like 10 to 1, so that we're literally drowning them in success. And what that does is when they get out of their bell work, when they come into your regular class, they have a different attitude, they have a different identity. I'm a mathematician, I know I can be successful, and they're ready to learn. When I was going up the stairs one day at the test school, a lady turned to me, the consultant, she said, your students are the only ones who can do multiplication. And I said, well, wait a second, we're only in addition. And what I realized is they had gotten so fluent at addition, the regular teacher was able to take them on into multiplication, which is just repeat addition, and make them successful. And so in a lot of ways, this goes way beyond just simply what they're learning here and changing their attitudes about everything.
So, when we talk about this, this is the typical situation we see in a lot of elementary schools.
I tested these kids, and probably 3/4 of them did not know their math facts. I can see them just getting the confidence they need to run. This was a big boost for him, a big boost. Every day he tells me I'm stupid. It just proves it's not.
So basically getting them into the success zone, proving to them that they are not stupid, that they can do math, that just opens the door for them. So the way we do the success zone is using spiraling and scaffolding. So let's say, for example, you're at level 27. Level 27, we're giving them 50% of the questions that they're receiving during that round from that level. But then we also bring 20% from the level coming up. Slowly spiral in, that's what we call forward pressure. So giving them little challenges here and there so that their brains are starting to become acclimated. They'll start seeing it. They might miss it, but their brains are starting to see these problems starting to come in, and once in a while so that they are familiar. And then we also give them 30% from the previous levels, what we call back pressure. This keeps them the success level. These 30% are the ones that we already know that they've proven mastery on, and they're just repeating those questions again. Kids are like going, oh yeah, I got this, and then they're working on their core, and that's what we call the success zone. So, going back to the beacon of learning. So the reason why we call it beacon of learning because, our brains are designed to forget, and our brains are looking for beacons or signals from the environment to tell us what I'm learning is significant. What I'm learning needs to be permanent. So, so it's just kind of contrast with this. Like, when we look at, kids from affluent areas, they do pretty well academically, right? So why is that? They have positive signals that reinforce that. It comes from parents, peers, and community. So they have parents who are constantly encouraging them, saying, hey, you need to do better, you can achieve. So they got that pressure, they got that goal. They have the peers. The peers are like, in clubs, and they're all, doing like, I was in academic decathlon. So you got these peers which are now encouraging that. And then if you have a community that also fosters great academic growth, all these factors come together to create a permanent memory.
And yes, we know how to spell signals.
Oh, sorry.
You can tell that Nye is a super geek in math, but
oops.
But the basic concept here is you get it, your brain is looking for these signals, and it keys on those, and then boom, it starts doing dendrite growth. Instead of storing memories chemically, it's going to store them permanently, permanent skills, permanent knowledge.
Yeah, and and it goes back to the whole premise of like we're learning to survive on the plains of Serengeti. So by recreating the team environment, the peer environment, we're basically mimicking those signals that we receive in this environment, but also and back then. So we're looking at a new phenomenon. So when we first observed our first batch of kids, we're like, this is astounding. Then we started seeing other things happening to other teachers who reported on what they're observing. So this is a principal at a Native American school. She talks about how her kids become engaged and really have pride in what they've accomplished. But the most key, important thing that they said that we didn't realize was an effect was that the classes that were using this program had the highest level of attendance in the entire district, exceeding the district goals. And we're the only ones actually that exceeded the district goals of attendance. And if you work with a Native American community before, their attendance is sporadic. But because we created this safe environment, this environment where the kids are working together cooperatively, they want to come to school. They want to get to level up. They want to see each other success and achieve those goals. So this fostered a whole new culture that drove these kids to want to be there and learn. And it extended itself outside of math into all the other subjects that they're learning.
The students have started.
So now, because we've done this and because we have students answering hundreds of math problems in so many different environments, we are going into unexplored territory. I don't think anyone else out there has gotten so many people to do so many math problems in such a short amount of time. There's no research studies, there's no papers out there. I mean, there's people who've tested gifted people, but we don't need to know data about gifted people. We need to know data about the people who are the ones that we work with all the time. So one of the things that we found is that when math teachers tell us, hey, they're doing the math problem, what kind of instructions are you giving them? We're not giving them any instructions. They're figuring it out on their own. They're doing these math problems over and over again, that their brains are creating their own personal algorithms that's creating the solution. Our brains are so powerful that it can figure it out itself. Like when I play video games, nobody tells me how to get through a level. I figure it out on my own. Yeah, and self-discovery is one of the most powerful effects because I did it myself. I take ownership of it.
But this also creates a cultural challenge. One of the things we notice is that it is this bonds of motivation or student to student, and the teacher, it's a different kind of culture during this period of time. And so this is one of the things that you have to think about. You have to be willing as a teacher to float among the students and go to the short bar students and say, like I would have to go to Hezekiah and say, Hezekiah, show me what you can do. Hezekiah had a lot of rough nights. He had a really difficult situation at home. But as soon as I got him started, off he would go. So that's really key, is it's a different kind of culture.
And you know how hard it is to teach kids to deconstruct problems, right? So we had teachers tell us like kids were deconstructing problems on their own without being taught, and because they were so surprised that they were going through the process of it without actually having the instruction. So that was like a very interesting thing that we heard. It's like these kids are doing it on their own, and these are kids who were the underperformers, the ones that tested lowest on most of the statewide exams and are in like Title I situations. So, and I'm just saying that it's not because of the situation that makes them like this, but we're unlocking the potential and bringing those beacons so that they are building these new building blocks. So because of the program, what it does.
All right, the short version. So in the last month, we've been beta testing the KP Compass Math Fluency program and trying it in a high school setting with an entire class. And some of the biggest things we've touched on, other than the group collective goaling, the individual goaling, the slightly competitive nature of it that builds them up, is just how much more awake, how much more alert, and how much more focused they've become in the classroom right at the start of the day. Their bell work has become fun. The kids aren't even calling it work, they're calling it a game. So they're really enjoying the experience.
All right, great. Thanks. As you saw, John wanted to walk into the shot there. So yeah, and that's one of the most powerful things. Like as they're doing this, it's intense. Like you sit there for 10, 15 minutes and answer 200 math problems. Your brain juices are going like a million miles per hour. So they're like, okay, we made our goal, good, congratulations. We have like so much more points to make to our epic goal. Close your computers and let's talk about our subject of today. And then the kids are like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna be engaged. I want to answer questions. So we have future experiments that we're gonna be doing, exploring, and this is very interesting because it's counter to what we think education should be, but it's well, not education, but one of the cool things that's come from this is we've got in touch with a leading Alzheimer's researcher in Arizona, and he directed us to a senior living facility because he's looked at what we did. He's like, this might, because we were talking to him about other things about brain, like he said, this might actually be something that would help prevent Alzheimer's. And
the basic theory being you develop these amyloid plaques in your brain, and so the question is, can this intense social environment give you either A, the strength in your brain to resist it if you have it, and or B, actually clean away the amyloid plaques. So we're going to be doing a research project where we do this with in an elderly population and seeing what its effects are on dementia.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we're going to see if it creates resilience in the brain. And what's most unusual about this is this project started as something we were saying, hey, let's do it for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, and it kind of went up to middle school, and it went down to kindergarten, and it went up to high school, and then now we're working in GED programs. So this little math fluency project, which started as a simple idea of building, getting kids to do lots and lots of math problems, has extended itself to something like this, and this is something that's completely off the wall and unexpected. How crazy is that? Isn't that exciting? Yeah. Like, wow. I mean, so who knows? Maybe it would work. Maybe it won't. But we're going to find out. And hopefully we'll have some information to share next year. So another thing we found is that a phenomenon called recursive loops.
The thing that we came across this problem. We were getting kids up at the upper edge of their ability, and we couldn't get the computer to keep them in the success zone. And so finally we decided, okay, we're going to start them all the way back at 0. and they're going to climb the ladder again.
With lots and lots of grumbling.
Yeah, with lots and lots of grumbling. But then we flipped it around and we got the kids to go, yeah, we're going to get there faster. And so what we found was extraordinary. This arc, which took 5 months the first time, took 3 weeks the second time. And when they came up to their level of ability the second time, the angle of attack was much stronger. And so they were able to punch through to higher levels of ability faster. So we are beginning to go back into the brain research and how dendrites grow in the brain, and we are beginning to think that recursive loops are going to be one of the most powerful phenomena in education. So we intend to, this year, to run some classes with a whole series of recursive loops, where they go roaring up, hit a point, and we're going to watch their success zone, start them over, get them roaring up again, and what we're seeing is that each one of these loops is faster. 5 months the first time, 3 weeks the second time, 1 week the third time, and each time they punch through to a higher level of ability.
Yeah, and and that actually mimics a gamer phenomenon called speed runs, which you can watch the video, but every time you do it, you're just gonna get a lot faster. But what kid wants to start over from kindergarten and work their way back up to 6th grade again? Well, in this process, it makes it fun. So I only chuckle because it just sounds so ludicrous, right? But that recursive loop could be a super powerful tool that could unlock new potential.
The other phenomenon we found out on the recursive loop is some students that were in the middle of the class, so the bottom 1/3, the order changed, which was very interesting. The students who were down in the bottom 1/3 came roaring up to the top 1/3 on the recursive loop. So we're just very fascinated by this phenomenon and its ability to really move kids. So we got that 44 points. We're now beginning to believe that we can get past double towards triple academic gains.
Okay, so since I forgot my sign-up sheet, and actually I did this at the last session, and I forgot to add it, is if you go to the site www.kpkpkp.com, KP stands for Knowledge and Practice. You're going to get taken to a Google form, and it's going to say enter your email address, and then that way you can enter your email address, and then we can send you the video and all that kind of stuff. So it's a much better version of the sign-up sheet, because it used to take me like 2 weeks to type in everyone's names because y'all have really terrible handwriting. So the project, we call it Fluency. We call it the Math Fluency Project, but that's our kind of like our trade name. So you see it, we misspelled fluency. I'm terrible at spelling, I'm sorry. But it's putting the intelligence in math fluency. Intelligence, there we go.
So www.kpkp.com.
Okay, so those are some of our the science behind it, the results that we saw from the past year, and now we have I was aiming for 15 minutes. We got 12 minutes. So we have 12 minutes for questions. What do you think about it? So I mean, just a general reaction. What do you think about the project now at its current form? How's everyone feeling? Awesome. Great. Now, questions, please.
Right back there.
Give us some.
My question is, I'm enjoying the research information, but how do we get to be a part of it, or get our kids exposed to it?
So the question is, how do they get their kids to have a chance to do this? How do they come
Well, so the last year was our beta round. Yeah, now we actually have to try to make money. So we haven't made any money on this project for the past 5 years. It's been done completely out of his pocket, out of my pocket, and we're tired of starting. So now it's actually a full-fledged product that you could try out for free for 3 weeks. Basically we came up with a price point of about $15 per student per year. We feel that's a very fair place for what that does.
Basically, it just covers their server charges.
Yeah.
So far we've been paying for all the trials out of our own pocket, and we can't do that anymore.
So sorry to say that, no more freebies. But the thing is,
you do get a free 3-week trial of it, and so you get to experience this completely yourself and go to your administration and say, hey, we think this would be a valuable first part of our class.
Yeah, and this wasn't meant to be like a sales pitch or anything like that. But the information that we relayed to you, was that valuable? Yes. So that's the whole purpose. And the fact that we were able to get all these people to create these results, and then this next year, people will be giving us these results, as paying customers. So it's not like they're obligated to tell us the great results. No one was ever. But it's like now I bought this product and my kids did this.
And with that 3-week trial, it's very easy to set up. We send you codes for each student. You just type in the code, boom, press a button.
Yep.
You put up the screen. It doesn't take.
It's
easy.
a
very simple.
We have 2 pages of instructions to read. That's about it. Anyway, so questions about the science or whatever.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Did you say it was $15?
15.
And the second question is, you said per year, right?
Yes.
We have semester classes, so sometimes our kids are only in math class for one semester. Do you guys do anything with schools that run on like semesters or trimesters or like?
Well, you mean like a transient population, like people coming and going and stuff like that?
No, like we literally have an Algebra 2 class for one semester, and then we have a whole new Algebra 2 class second semester.
Oh, so
our
basically.
kids don't necessarily have math this whole year.
Oh, I see. So we'll work out because like basically the server charges are front loaded. So we'll work out a plan that makes it so that we're not dying or bleeding.
I appreciate that. It's just, it's easier if we talk about
we can totally.
that you're
It won't
willing
cost
to.
you. It won't cost you double to run a class.
Yeah, it won't cost you double, but we'll work out something that will kind of normalize the value so that.
Right.
I know you talked about the concept of individual versus team and what motivates them and how the brain works, but is this something that if our school could not purchase, that parents could purchase, like individual students?
Very good question. Right now we're running limited tests with parents because the problem is like without the group effect, we find that the kids fizzle out after a week or 2 because they don't have that camaraderie. Now we have some math teachers who are having their children do it, and those math teachers can create that cultural effect by giving them incentives, and things like that. And so, but right now it's not designed for individual use
Yeah,
yet.
its power comes from the group. Where
But-
here is the team score, the individual accountability.
But in the future, we're going to design a online type of environment where they're interacting through the virtual space. We just don't have the money or the technology to develop that yet because that's a lot of coding to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, that is something that we want to do in the future where we mimic the environment so that parents or kids from all over the world can be participating as a team. Yes.
Whenever you're showing the students all on one screen, the blue lines, the red lines, stuff, what do those numbers represent? How did those numbers come about?
Okay, so good question.
Problems, each problem?
Okay, so there's the columns where the number of points they've earned. There's another column that shows their badge, so that basically kind of shows the level they're at out of 127. So those are the 2 primary columns of numbers, and then there was a column in the middle that you saw with greens and yellows and 2 reds. That's actually what we call trending, and that's an indicator to let you know that if they're having a high level of if their level of accuracy is dropping below a certain standard, then you're like going, okay, why are they messing up? And that's another indicator to you to say, I'm going to go and check on the student. So as well. So does that answer your question? A little bit, yeah. So basically, total question.
The indicators are important. It's like when I would start my students, I'd immediately look at the bars, and I would immediately go. As soon as the bars started showing up, I'd immediately go to the slowest student. And invariably, it was Hezekiah or Trayvon, and they just had a lot of difficulties at home. And all I'd have to do is say, Trayvon, show me what you can do, and watch him for 30 seconds, and say, hey, you're going to have to do 6 more games to get to your goal. Can you do it? He never said no. He always said yes.
For the most part, most every student gets to goal by the end of that time period. So the calculations are pretty. We're working on the algorithm to keep the calculations accurate. But the whole entire thing is like the class makes it a goal, everyone celebrates, and then we're doing it as a group celebration rather than individuals. Yes.
Who sets the goals?
Oh, sorry. Okay, so the computer sets the goals. So what it does is it measures each student's output and ability, and it calculates how many points they're able to accomplish in about 12 minutes. So they set, the computer sets the goals, and the computer also sets the level. So as they are leveling up, which is based on 2 parameters, speed and accuracy, and then, but if their speed and accuracy fall to a certain point, then they actually can level down because we don't want them to be failing all the time. So they can go up, and then they go, oh, go down, and then back up again. So the computer takes all that. So you don't do any assignments. All you're there to do is to help the student that's hit that rung that they need to repair, and then, or well, I like say like the student got a flat tire, so let me help change out that tire for you and get you along on your way. You saw your hand.
So you would be able to print out each individual question of the student that they actually.
There's a report that shows you every single round they've gone through, and it groups it by standard. So you can see a grouping, and then go, oh wow, this entire grouping is,
So you can pull up a student and see every single problem they did, and whether they got it right or not, and what their what their answer was, and what the correct answer was.
And the thing is that's a after the fact tool, but we and teachers rarely use that because we say do it right then and there live while they're in the game, because you can actually see the problems that they're answering if you're standing behind them, and you can intervene. So somebody, yes.
Yeah, a couple questions. One, are the problems the same in each game, or do they come in the same order?
No.
No?
Definitely
Okay,
not.
so they're really like. Okay.
Yeah.
And then.
And remember the scaffolding. There's it actually spans across 8 to 10 different standards. So you got the core group, you got the ones coming in, and you got the ones that are being.
And then my other question was, you talked about the kids, that one group of kids where the students wanted to work at home, and the teacher had to put a limit on how much time they could spend on it at home. So
yes.
So why did the teacher want to put a limit? Was it so that the kids wouldn't become? So why did the teacher?
Oh, because
want to put
one of the things when you're doing it at home as a solo exercise, you can experience burnout. We don't want the kids to go, I love it. Oh gosh. Because you get kids like that. They get so furious at something, and then they get bored after a few minutes. So we didn't want that. We want the culture. And when we emphasize the culture a lot, if you build a strong culture, the culture perpetuates and creates sustainability. So if you have kids going off doing their own thing, it's like they're fizzling off like moths to a flame.
When I came into class every day, the kids knew we're going to get to goal today as a class, and each one of us is going to get to goal too. Now that didn't happen 100% of the time, but it happened over 90% of the time. And there's invariably an assembly we have to go to or something that interrupts sometimes.
So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great. You.
Do you factor in their progress, their goals, and their grade, or is this just as a game, a starter, as no reflect on?
Right now, we haven't had any teachers use that as a grade. Although, we have had some teachers say, you make it gold and you get a star or something like that.
I wasn't actually the regular teacher in the class. I was taking them for these 2 periods of time, but the regular teacher that I had did actually integrate it in by going off the amount of work that they did.
So there are ways to do that. And right now it's just like whatever creativity you like to throw at this tool makes a difference. Cool. We still have 2 more minutes. Any more questions? I love these questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you just facilitate to start it? What's your introduction? You said there's no teaching or no involvement. You just give it to them and say, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yep, and they start at level 1. They start at within 5. If it's a kindergarten, they start counting. They start at number hunting. So basically, they all start there. And that's the thing. It's like a 3rd grader plays the same game as a 8th grader, as a 12th grader. So because everyone climbs the same ladder, but a 12th grader will climb the ladder much faster until they get to that point where they find that missing rung.
We would go through a routine where we really emphasize, okay, there's an initial screen that you put up that has the class goal. So the idea that it's a game is how you do the introduction. Yeah. We're all in this together today. This is our goal. You want to get to your goal.
And we have all the steps documented, which is actually 2 pages of instructions. introduce the game, have everyone log in, pull up the screen, and then have them answer math problems for 15 minutes.
It is not a complex thing to start up and run.
Yeah.
The main emphasis, though, is to be among your students, to be helping them, and to be flowing and watching your screen so that the short bars that you're going to the short bars.
And also be a cheerleader. You want to encourage them. You want to say, good job. We all made the goal. Bring elevate them as they're making these accomplishments.
2 or 3 times during the class, I would call attention to the bar. Look at that. Everybody, we're 33% of the way there. Look at that. We're 75% of the way there. Boom, we got it.
Yep.
We did this.
Awesome. All right, any other questions? Well, all right, thank you so much for your time and attention. We're so glad to share this, and we can't wait to see what next year's going to bring.
Now, if you sign up at www.kpbt.com, you'll get an email from Nai Wang and regarding the Math Fluency Project. So please sign up.
And I'll send the video and everything else.
Where are you going? Want me to save you a seat?
Yeah, so that means
I played a game with and that dude there could crank out 81. His top speed was 81, and top speed was 58. So when they're young, they have that. I mean, I even did a slow motion on his fingers because what I realized is as a touch typist, I'm on the what they call that, the home row, and then I would reach up to press the number and reach back. What he did is his fingers were right over the numbers, and he just did this. He didn't have to move his fingers, so he had an advantage over us. Yes, there's fractions, there's multiplication, and it's never simple. So it would be 5 times 7 plus 36 equals x plus 3. So you gotta do the multiplication, but you also gotta show fractions are. Let's see, that's what we.
Oh, you mean like two people sitting at the same terminal and acting?
But you have to, using your game concept, where our family is like, it just didn't have the same
with the math program?
The teacher didn't
well, I mean,
teach
if you have, let's say you have multiple teams, and each they represent a team, then that could work because we actually have instances where schools don't have enough computers, they buddy up. And basically, if one person hits the answer, when they did a $20 million, you see the answer, you see the question, 5, they tested 72, and so that they can switch off every round. So that's a
made statistical difference on Saxon and math expressions. And those were the only 2 books that in themselves could improve. I know,
that actually is one of the big features about concept thank you. Well, right now, so all the levels still, all the standards have through that. And right now, our top level 1.7 is exponent of curves. So we have the, five exponent of curves. It's just phenomenal. Because, actually, I wanted to say that, we're seeing these kids doing such crazy calculations in their head.
So you just have to figure out where they need to start, or is there some kind of test? They start off with a bar like this, and
those tests are made so that you can't miss. Maybe that's they're designed so
If you do a problem every 5 minutes, then you've got to see a problem every minute and a half.
I remember, I think it was in our and it gives you